What's going on, Packers fans? Aaron Nagler here, and I'm joined by Joel Corry, a very special guest, a former agent, many years in the biz, who now writes for CBS Sports, helping break down lots of the Byzantine contract stuff that I don't want to deal with. Joel, thanks so much for being here, man.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely appreciate the time. I know I've gotten asked a lot about it, and I know you've written about it, so I thought I'd just come right to you for some of these answers regarding Jordan Love's potential contract extension. Now, I know there has been a lot of talk about the fact that the Packers want to get something done. Brian Gutekunst has said publicly they're very interested in talking to Jordan's people. Why is it that it hasn't gotten done yet, or there haven't been any talks around it? I know there's some kind of CBA stipulation here.
Yeah, they can have discussions right now, but because of the timing of his contract extension or what he did last year, 1 year has to have elapse before you give him a raise. They could have gotten around that if they had, with the voting dummy years they had in this contract, if they stuck astronomical salaries in there, this potentially could have been done by now because it goes by your aggregate cap room over the years left in your contract. That includes voting dummy years. So because you have minimum base salaries in those years, you can't do anything until you have a year gone from his contract being done. And I think that was done May 3rd last year. So that's just around the corner.
Right. It's coming up. Probably, you wrote they'll probably most likely meet after the draft, which would make sense.
Yeah, but they could have plenty of discussions now, but they can't sign anything.
And I think Brian mentioned they would probably start those at the combine, which makes sense. Everybody's in the same
Everybody's
town.
there, and that's what you do. You meet with agents, more about free agency than anything else, but also you got guys for an extension. You'll do it then as well.
Were you surprised, before we dive into what an extension might look like, were you surprised that they went that route rather than just giving him the fifth-year option?
Yeah, I was surprised. I thought Daniel Jones could have been a cautionary tale, and he's a cautionary tale for a lot of reasons.
Right.
One, you didn't pick up the fifth-year option, and there was good reason not to. And then he goes out and plays well enough, and he has you over a barrel. So I thought maybe they'd exercise a fifth-year option, and then if he isn't any good, that's just 1 year. You have to eat a salary of which would have been over $20 million. I remember when Andrew Luck retired, the Colts extended Jacoby Brissett for essentially what the franchise tag was for a year. And we didn't know at that time what Jacoby Brissett could do. We found out he wasn't that caliber of a quarterback. He's a great stopgap or
bridge guy.
Yeah. But 1 year, I thought the Packers got the best of both worlds. That if he doesn't pan out, you didn't pay him that much more than you paid him more than what he was going to make, but it really wasn't out of whack for a bridge quarterback. And if he didn't pan out, then you got him for he could earn his way into making more money than if he had just exercised the option. So it's kind of a win-win. More so for the Packers. I would have wanted the certainty of having the guaranteed amount if I was the player, but it's worked out for both sides.
Looking at a possible extension, I know you wrote that pretty much, I mean, not like dead set here, but the idea probably, at least, for Jordan's side, is to start at the, just north of $50 million a year that the Packers gave Aaron Rodgers on that final extension when he was in Green Bay. And when I mentioned that, I got pushback online. To me, it's a no-brainer. What is the idea there as far as, why give Jordan Love an extension after basically 1 year of starting in the league? And in that year, he only played, probably above board / at that level for the last 8 games or so. What's the idea of going ahead and just pulling the trigger on that amount per year right out of the gate?
Well, the Packers have a history of doing that. Remember, Aaron Rodgers sat for 3 years, just like Jordan Love, and they extended him 7 games into his first year as a starter, and gave him top 5 quarterback money right then and there. Hadn't even played half a year, and the Packers went 6-10, missed the playoffs. Jordan Love got better as the year went on. Phenomenal second half of the year, 18 touchdowns. I think 1 interception, like a 113 passer rating. won a playoff game. They knocked off the Cowboys, first time a 7 seeds beating a 2 seed in the expanded playoff form.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to treat him like Aaron, and he outperformed Aaron in that initial year, then it makes sense that you're going to be looking in that range. You've got 4 quarterbacks right now who are making $50 million per year or more. Joe Burrow's at $55 million per year, highest paid player in the league. You've got Justin Herbert at $52.5 million, Lamar Jackson at $52, and Jalen Hurts at $51. There could be more joining them. Tua Tagovailoa is going to be a free agent after the year. Can't imagine his contract's not going to be in that neighborhood. Jared Goff is in a contract year. His initial extension title of Aaron Rodgers is the 3rd highest paid player in the league. He says he's a better quarterback than he was then. How much is he going to want?
Right.
The Jaguars, supposedly, at least according to Trevor Lawrence, they've had preliminary discussions about a contract. I don't think you're getting him done for anything under $50 million per year. So getting in that neighborhood, given where everything is going to go, and then it's not even mentioning Dak Prescott. I know they hadn't had any talks there, but
the Prescott thing is interesting.
That's going to be crazy. That's going to be a crazy number if it gets done this year because you can put the franchise tag on him.
Yep.
And he'll be a free agent. So you're going to have more than the 4 quarterbacks in the $50 million per year club. So putting Jordan Love there, given what you think his career trajectory is going to be, and you're going to pay him partially, at least more. Typically, you pay a guy for what you think he's going to do as opposed to what he has done in the past.
Exactly. Right.
And I know the pushback will be, hey, we paid Aaron 50 plus, barely over 50 million a year. And that set the market. And he was coming off of 2 MVP seasons. And the agent's going to go, yeah, he's older. And that last year in Green Bay, statistically, he wasn't what Jordan was last year, and you missed the playoffs.
Not even close.
In the last year.
Yep.
And you made the playoffs, win a playoff game with Jordan. So you're going to end up there if you're going to get a deal done. That's not even looking at what would happen if he played out the deal.
Right. That's the other thing. Why, like, if the team was to say, or if, say, Jordan was to say, I just want to play out this final year, I think it's 10 million in 2024, that becomes real problematic for the Packers if he balls out and you get to the end of the next season. I mean, you almost have to use the franchise tag.
Yeah,
point, don't you?
Yeah, you have to use a franchise tag on him. I know the Ravens put the non-exclusive franchise tag on Lamar Jackson. Typically, teams have gone the exclusive route for the franchise tag for a quarterback because you've seen multiple players who are non-quarterbacks go for more than 2 first-round picks. We haven't seen a guy switch teams on an offer sheet for 2 first-round picks since Joey Galloway, I think 2000. But if you get a franchise quarterback, you have to give up 2 first-round picks. That's probably a steal. So you might be locked into the exclusive tag. I don't know where the cap's going to be next year. More than it was supposed to be. This year, people were thinking 240, 245 max, and we're 10 million over that.
Right.
So let's say I'll peg it 270 to 275. So we're talking the non-exclusive franchise tag in the high 30s, 38, 39 million. And then you're vulnerable to an offer sheet. The way it would work right now, if you went with the exclusive tag, it would be about 58 million. Obviously, that's subject to change based on restructures that can get done. But yeah, the Packers have a history of taking care of the players they think of core players before their contracts expire.
Right.
Typically, they would do Aaron Rodgers a year in advance, sometimes 2 years in advance. So Jordan Love in a contract year, and if you think what you saw the last 8 games of the season, the playoffs, is just him scratching the surface, you're not going to let him get anywhere near free agency.
Yeah, exactly.
Put a tag on him.
Right. If you're the two sides here and you're thinking, obviously, if you're the Packers, you want as many years here as you can get, right?
Yeah.
As far as trying to lock him in. If you're the agent, if you're athletes first for Jordan, where are you trying to land as far as you obviously love to get the player paid, but you want to be able to get back to the table at some point if he does start reaching some of the stratospheric potential that the Packers see in him.
You just brought up an interesting dynamic there. Athletes First represents Jordan Love. Athletes First represents Aaron Rodgers. Different agents, same agency. So they're going to use their own client against the other one in this negotiation, I'm pretty sure. Yep. Typically, it had been 4 New Years or 4 years had been the norm for these extensions. You had Aaron Rodgers, the one he signed in, what was that, 2018? Right. 4 New Years.
Yep.
You had Russell Wilson, 4 New Years in 2019. Jared Goff and Carson Wentz, 4 New Years. Deshaun Watson's original deal with the Texans, 4 New Years. Then it started switching in 2022. Kyler Murray, 5 New Years. The Russell Wilson deal that no longer exists with the Broncos, 5 New Years. Deshaun Watson's deal with the
Browns.
5 total years, the fully guaranteed contract. Lamar Jackson this year or last year, 5 years. Jalen Hurts, 5 New Years. Joe Burrow, 5 New Years. Justin Herbert, 5 New Years. You're probably going to do a 5. Whether you want to do one or not, you're probably going to do a 5.
It seems if you want a landing spot, right?
If I'm the team and you want a 4, I want a huge break on the deal. You're not getting to 50 if you want a 4 if I'm the team.
That's an interesting way to look at it. You mentioned Watson and the fully guaranteed deal. Are you surprised that hasn't become more of a norm? I mean, I know we hear about this every once in a while at the quarterback spot specifically, right? Whether it was Cousins a couple years ago and then Watson got the fully guaranteed deal, which at the moment it was signed felt insane. But do you think that that's something that Jordan might ask for? Is that something that an area Athletes First might go down, or is that just a total anomaly?
Well, that ship has sailed. If they couldn't get it for Aaron Rodgers in 2018, coming off of Cousins, who got one in 2018, they're not getting it for Jordan Love. That ship sailed to me. I knew Kyler Murray was never getting one from the Cardinals. He had that.
Bidwell's not going that route.
No, he had that homework clause they took out public pressure.
Right.
The guy who dropped the ball to me was Russell Wilson, and the Broncos should be thankful he didn't push for it. When you give up everything you did to acquire him, ton of leverage, new ownership that has deep pockets, that's Walmart money. And he didn't get a fully guaranteed contract. Lamar Jackson put up the good fight. As soon as Jalen Hurts didn't get one, Lamar Jackson waved the red flag on that one. Nobody after that got one. Jalen Hurts is not getting a fully guaranteed contract. The one guy who could, and it requires playing out your contract, Dak Prescott. Let's say Dak Prescott is the 2023 regular season Dak Prescott in 2024.
Right.
And he takes the position, you know what, Dallas? You had every opportunity to sign me. You didn't. I'm out. I'm testing free agency. I'm not going to treat you any better than anybody else. And that guy could get a fully guaranteed contract. That's where you get your next
market.
Yeah, on the open market.
Yeah. I mean, it's a possibility that I agree with you. I don't think it's ever going to happen in Green Bay, but the fact that Jordan and the team seem to be, and that's the thing. It's like I keep coming back to the Athletes First thing because I know Dave, his agent, he's the one who signed that Watson deal, right? And I don't think he's going to push for a fully guaranteed deal.
Well, that was unique circumstances.
Right, of course.
You had Cleveland that had been eliminated, and Cleveland basically was like taking out their wallet because there were 3 years left on that contract. Yep. They're like, what's going to get it done? So you don't go to Atlanta or New Orleans. It's like, will this get it done? Will this get us done? What about a fully guaranteed contract? Okay. He was a quasi free agent to me because he wasn't going back to Houston.
Right.
And there was more than one suitor involved. So that's a unique circumstance. Now, in Green Bay, in given you have the Athletes First dynamic, it's probably not going to be an issue. But the only person that's ever gotten traditional guarantees from Green Bay is Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback.
Right. Yep.
So the team is going to have a hard time saying that's an Aaron Rodgers. He's the MVP. He's the league MVP exception. The agency is going to be like, no. You did it for Aaron. You can do it for them. It's a quarterback exception. So I expect there to be traditional guarantees in this contract. That's not going to be an issue, particularly with this agency.
Could you explain what traditional guarantees are? I think I have a good idea, but just for anybody watching.
Yeah, there are certain teams. Cincinnati had never done it until Joe Burrow. Pittsburgh had never done it until T.J. Watt, then followed it up with Minka Fitzpatrick. Green Bay only makes this exception with Aaron Rodgers. In a typical deal, you'll have a signing bonus and base salary guarantees. Some years will be fully guaranteed at signing. For huge years, maybe the first 2 years fully guaranteed at signing, maybe the third, depending upon the size of the contract. Then you'll have money in either the third or fourth year guaranteed for injury at signing, a rolling guarantee or conditional guarantee that converts to being fully guaranteed at some point in time, maybe the third day of a league year in that year, or maybe it vests a year early. Green Bay and their deals for everyone except Aaron Rodgers, you have a signing bonus, and then you have in year 2 and possibly year 3 a March roster bonus that's unsecured. The March roster bonuses are supposed to be a substitute for guarantees. They're not guaranteed money. The team just has to make a decision on you sooner rather than later. That's why when you see Green Bay Packer deals outside of Aaron Rodgers, the guarantees pale in comparison to everybody else. Ask Nick Perry how those roster bonuses work out.
Oh, man, what a pull. Well done.
Yeah, Nick Perry, if he'd had traditional guarantees, you may have had to stick with him for one more year. Yeah. But because he had a roster bonus that was unsecured, they were able to cut him and not have a payment obligation. You're not going to have that type of structure with Jordan Love. It's going to be traditional where you're going to have, let's say, I think Herbert had like $193 million in overall guarantees, and Burrow had like close to 220, and nobody's gotten. I think you're gonna have like I think Lamar Jackson 135 million in fully guaranteed at signing. I don't think anyone's gotten to 150 fully guaranteed outside of Deshaun Watson. So you're gonna have 125, 130, 135 million. Upwards to 150 fully guaranteed at signing in this deal.
Yeah, I mean, the quarterback thing is what makes it interesting because, to your point, those teams that did finally make exceptions, the Steelers with T.J. Watt, etc. That's kind of one of the most underreported aspects of the Davante Adams trade. That Davante and his team were looking for those, and
yeah, they got guarantees. They weren't going to give him in Green Bay.
Exactly. That was never going to happen in Green Bay. Joel, I really, really appreciate the time. Everybody. I will be linking to Joel's stuff at CBS Sports in the description of this video. Thank you so much for the time, man.
Sure. Thank you.